All right, so this week I want you to go to our week 12 folder and I want you to take a look at some stuff. Um, what we have is, first of all, you need to do your artist statement, which I emailed you guys about. And then also need to review the project outline, which I'm going to go over with you in just a second. And then also submit the proposal. We'll talk about that, the Linda stuff. All right, all these things are like just a summary of what's inside, but you do need to look inside as well. And then this is a special note too, so that when you're setting up your Project 3 stuff, one of the things that you'll need to know is that it's going to be a little different than the lynda.com um, uh, video demonstration about setting stuff up. You'll kind of already have a sense of how to get the setup going for at least just the basic files. Because it'll be what you did for the last assignment. And you know, the example, his environment isn't going to be as restrictive as our environment. So make sure that whenever you do it, that you you do it based on the way that we did it before. So that in the WP project folder, there is a subfolder called Project 3. So if you look down here, what we have is the WP Project 3 folder, and then inside of that is a subfolder called Project 3, which is where all your WordPress files are. But if you remember, what we need to do on this server is we need to write a redirection into the original WP config file and redirect it so that it comes and looks up here inside of the WP Project 3 folder for whatever you name it, the real config file. And just this is making a point that if you wanted to just use a copy of your Project 2 real config file, whatever you named it, and then just make a copy of it into the WP Project 3 folder, you can. But the really important thing you need to realize is that you have to change the where it says P3 underscore, you have to change the table prefix. So the old one said P2 underscore. The new one is going to be P3 underscore. So that's really important because it's going to be pointing to the same database. All right, that's also very important to understand. You only have one database for this class. Ideally, in a real situation out in the world, you're going to have one database per WordPress installation, but that's not always the case. So in this instance, we're using one database that just have tables that are identified based on the table prefix as to which installation is supposed to use those tables. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a peek inside of week 12. And so this is the stuff about the post for the second project, so you can go ahead and do that. We're going to look at this outline for Project 3 in a second. I want to go over really quickly this lynda.com thing. So instead of having you guys buy a set of expensive textbooks, I wanted to just give you an option to use lynda.com as a tutorial set. I think a lot of students respond really well to video tutorials in some ways more than book tutorials. The other problems with books is that WordPress oftentimes changes so much that a book can be outdated really fast. So one of the things that I did was I used to do something a little bit different where I would assign you 5 videos in a special account, but lynda.com has just recently sunsetted that program. They don't allow that anymore. So what you'll need to do is get a full membership. There are 2 different options. You can either get one that's I think it's $25 month to month, and that does not give you exercise files, or you can get the one that is $35, which is a premium month-to-month subscription, and it does give you all exercise files. So if you decide that you like having all the exercise files for stuff, then you can spend the extra $10. But that's up to you. I usually don't need exercise files. The one exception will be the first thing, of course, that you're actually doing for this assignment, which is going to be this thing called WordPress building themes from scratch using underscores, and the author is a guy named Morton. Okay, so what I've done is, for those of you who do buy the $25 subscription, I've gone ahead and I've put the underscore zip theme folder that you need here. It also has some other files and stuff that are useful, but I went ahead and I put this here because that's the only thing that you would need the files for. So you can download that here. And the other thing is you can always upgrade at any time if you decide that you do want the files. So you can start with the $25 a month account and figure out whether or not you want to upgrade. Now, something that's really important is that you need to end your subscription. You can't just set a time that it expires. It will bill you for the next month. Now, the trick is that if you've never had a Lynda account before, then if you use a separate email, then it's not going to know that you had the account before. But you can start a 10-day trial, and that'll add some time onto your account. One of the things that Lynda is pretty good about is if you, let's say that, we actually need to go a little, let's say if you need it a little bit beyond for some reason, and you don't cancel it like right at the end of the month, or at the end of your period billing cycle, then if you go and you contact them and say, look, I canceled it on the second day of the month or second day after my billing cycle, and I didn't use any of those other days, they'll give you a rebate. They're really pretty good about that. At least they have been in the past. So so the anticipation is that you shouldn't have to pay more than $25 or $35 for doing this assignment. All right, and if you look down here, also there's some special notes that I've made. Whenever, because I always do stuff, first before I throw it at you, and I noted some problems whenever I was working through this tutorial, and so the things that I noted, I went ahead and I made some comments here so that you would at least be aware of them and have some ideas how to deal with them. Okay. The other thing too is I want you to submit a project proposal, and I want you to base it off of this model so that you're not just giving me like 3 sentences. I want you to actually look at this, and I want you to think about, how to write a real proposal that actually is meaningful, because that's what people are really going to expect whenever you're doing real work for them. So this is a good starting place, and it asks some questions and helps you think about why you would want to address these different issues in your proposal. And then the other thing too is that if you don't get to this, there's a lot of stuff going on this week. So if you don't get to this design mock-up yet, that's fine. But I want you to start thinking about your design as you're writing your proposal and as you, maybe begin doing some of these theme exercises. But you should definitely go ahead and get started. Doing this theme from scratch, it's going to help you understand WordPress in a way that there's no other way that you could understand it. I mean, it's like incredibly, it's an incredibly complex content management system when you get really deep into it, and this really helps you understand how it works. And so anyway, let's just go ahead and take a peek. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here because this is a basic introduction. Then we're going to take a peek at the assignment.